is everybody seems to talk on something different. Everybody seems to talk on what they're famous for. When Ed Dutcher first came out with his, when he first called me and asked me what I wanted to speak on, I told him I'd speak on anything he wanted me to. And then we decided that what Michigan State's famous for is our one-shot plays, kind of. We run a million of them. And lo and behold, I get the program and it said I was speaking on feeding the post. We haven't fed the post in the 10 years I've been here, so it's been changed a little bit. We're going right back to the one-shot plays. And I also thought I'd talk to you a little bit about, my experience with Judd, because that's unique, and the opportunity I have to kind of live a dream. I think, just like all of you, I've kind of came up the exact same road as you have. And so I do have a great appreciation of where I've come from and where I've been, and I'm proud of where I came from and where I've been. And I look at most of you out there last night, night before, as I walk around the halls, and I realize how fortunate and lucky I am, because just, this year, last year, the year before, I was just one of you the same way, and now I guess I'm going to get the head job at Michigan State University, which it doesn't matter if you like Michigan or like Michigan State or like Indiana or Ohio State. It's part of living a dream that you get to be a coach at the top level in whatever sport or whatever endeavor you have in life. And for me, it's basketball. I've never really had a lot of pro interest, even though when I was at Northern Michigan, my high school coach, in fact, is here today, Gordon LeDuc, was a manager at Northern when Stan Albeck, I think, was there. And he was our claim to fame from the UP as far as he spent 11 years at Northern, went on to eventually coach Michael Jordan, Chicago Bulls. But I never really had dreams of pro basketball. Like some of you maybe never had dreams of college basketball. Mine all started that I wanted to be a big-time college coach. And so I'm going to go through a little bit later some of the steps that have gotten me there, because some of you maybe have the same ambition someday. Judd, working for Judd is, as you know, a great experience. He usually introduces me, or when people introduce me, I was an assistant coach, and then I became an associate coach. And what does that mean? Absolutely nothing. It got me no more money, but it gave me a title. Well, people always get confused. He's assistant coach, associate coach. Assistant coach is abbreviated ASST, associate coach ASSO. And Judd kind of abbreviated, and he just calls me an ASS. And that's about the way Judd handles things. But he said that he was going to give me some experience last year, because it looked like I was going to get the chance to take over. As most of you know, we had what we consider a disappointing year last year. We lost 10 games by 4 points or less. So again, if you hear Judd speak, he'll tell you how I gave him the last 3 minutes of each game. He coached them. We went 0-10. So he's kind of figuring Michigan State has been left in poor hands. But I'm going to talk to you about the plays we run. And we run a million plays. And for some of you, it could get, maybe boring in a way. But I would like to say this about the plays. See, I figure Michigan State, we have a team a lot more like each one of you have teams. I mean, we're not Michigan. Michigan's going to get 5 superstars. We haven't had 5 superstars since I've been here. They did not have 5 superstars when Magic Johnson was here. Scott Skiles, Steve Smith, and now our latest one, Sean Resper. So I look at our plays, and I thought they really are geared more to high school coaches, because high school coaches usually don't have 5 superstars. In fact, most of you probably are just begging for 1/2 a superstar. And that's what our plays are all about. But as I listen to speakers speak the last couple of days, I hear everybody talking about drills, certain plays, motivational things. And I have not taught every speaker at every clinic I've been to, but very seldom do I hear people talk about what to me is the most important thing almost in any program, and that's the conditioning. Everybody, like I said, rebounding, and yet not many people are in shape to do that. And I think last year one of our problems was we weren't in maybe good enough shape, and at the end of games, when it was time to shoot those free throws, when it was time to make a big shot, you know, we just missed it. And so I think I'd like to say to you that if you're going to spend a lot of time in the game, I'd look at things you have control over. And the preseason to us is not only conditioning, and everybody could give everybody a million drills on conditioning. I'd say what preseason programs and conditioning is to us is a character building time. What I try to do in our conditioning, and I think, believe it or not, I almost did a better job in Division II than I do at Division I, because at Division I we got all the prima donna superstars, and in Division II you got the guys that just come and work and want to be players and are, you know, happy with any meal they get, whether it's a bag lunch instead of steak for pregame. So I kind of felt that conditioning and character building is a big part of basketball. Weightlifting, I looked at weightlifting. Everybody in this room knows Chris Webber. We always say the biggest adjustment a high school kid can make between his senior year and college, and if you have some players that are good enough to play, and I don't care what level it's at, it really doesn't make a difference. Being stronger is probably the single most important thing, at least to get into the Big Ten compared to high school. You get a lot of players that make adjustments in their playing ability, you know, their shooting ability, things like that. But it's the biggest adjustment we found is strength. You look at a guy like Chris Webber, it was an adjustment he did not have to make. He was 6'9", 230, which is big enough, and he ends up 6'9", 260, but it's still, he was strong enough when he came in, and I think one of the reasons he was an impact player even at that age. A lot of people look at Magic Johnson. One of my big thrills since I've been here, when I came down here, I was what they call the part-time assistant. A lot of you have heard everything about the part-time. At the time I came down, I paid $7,000 a year. I said, I'm going into this big-time program, and I couldn't wait to get here. Well, my job early in my career was to open the baskets for Magic Johnson. I'd go down there at 11 o'clock and work out at 11, go down there at 3, come back and work out at 3. And I was amazed how, even though he was skinny at the time, how strong he was. And I'll tell you something else, I was also amazed at how much work he did on his conditioning. You know, when people say you get where you get on what you put into it, I've been lucky since I've been here, because I always kid Judd, I tell him he's impossible to recruit a guard for. Because once you coach Magic Johnson, you know, I'll come back and say, this guy's great. And he'll look at me and he'll say, he's not great. And I have to rephrase that. Well, the reason I do, he's coached one of the best. I look at Magic and I see what he's done. You know, every summer, the first 4 years I was here, he came back. And it's been such a treat, because when kids tell me they work out hard, and I look at the greatest player that ever played, arguably, or let's say one of the top 5 players that ever played, and so much time he spent on his conditioning, on his shooting, it kind of is rewarding to me, because I look at our guys now that come in and spend a half hour, an hour, and I just laugh at them. Because I figure he's the greatest player that ever played. He spends triple the time. I think another thing about conditioning real quick is you have control of conditioning. You don't have control of your shooting. I look at guys like Mike Petlosky, who just left us this year. For 5 years, he had a weight problem. How many of your guys are too heavy or too light? For 5 years, he had a weight problem. Last spring, I told Mike, you've lost a little weight over your 4 years, 5 years here, but you never got in the shape you should have been. I said, if you're going to play at the next level, the only chance you have being big and slow is to be the best conditioned guy there, so when you go to these camps, you'll be able to run with some of the fleet-footed people you're going to have to go against. Mike lost about 15, 20 pounds. I went down to Phoenix with him when they had the pro camp, top 32 players in the country, and probably played the best basketball of his life. Well, ironically, over the years that I've been here, I look at guys that you'd never guess had weight problems. Scott Skiles lost 10 or 12 pounds, made a humongous difference from his junior to his senior year. Kirk Mans, came in about 10 pounds too heavy. When you're not very quick to start with, and I know a lot of you guys coach guys that aren't very quick, then that little things like your weight makes a difference. Right now we have Anthony Miller on our team who's been 20 pounds overweight for 3 years. And I'll be honest with you, I blame me for that. Because there's no excuse for not getting your guys in the best possible shape they can get in. And Pig Miller has just lost 20 pounds. He's down into the 40s for probably the second time. His first was at birth. And he's playing the best basketball he's played. And I'm really looking forward to the year for him because I think something like that shows a little commitment in a kid. I think something like lifting weights shows a little commitment in a kid. I go down into the city, and those kids are playing basketball, just round the clock, around the year. And some people think those kids are luckier because they're getting bigger scholarships, they're getting to bigger schools. Hey, believe it or not, they put in more time. And some of those coaches down there put in a lot of extra hours, and I think it's something that I learned more from high school coaches, I think, than I have from college coaches. And maybe that's because I was fortunate when I was coming up. What I'm going to do is go in and out here a little bit. I'm going to show you some of the plays that we run. I'm going to try to be John Madden and Jack Ramsey. I've got a little coach's pad up here that we're working on. If I screw it up, you're just going to have to bear with me. But what I've done is myself and Brian Gregory, our other assistant, we do run 1 million plays. And we put together a video playbook. And on this video playbook, it's going to show the plays we run. And I'll try to walk you through them a little bit. And I've got a little game footage so you can see how some of them, not all of them, but some of them work in a game also. So I'll try to divide it up a little. I'll go over some plays. I'll talk about a couple other things, go over some plays and see where it takes us. If you have any questions while I'm going over them, please stop me and ask me. Now again, here's the thing I feel about our plays, why they're a little more significant to you people. We have had superstars in the past. Since I've been here, there's been about 6 players that have done it in pro basketball, or 7. But the Steve Smiths, the Scott Skiles, the Sean Resperts, guys like that since I've been here, for the most part have been our best scorers. It's not by accident that there's not many Michigan Fab Fives or North Carolinas. There's not really a lot of those, even though Indiana's been successful year after year. How many watched Indiana with those guys that walk around with their hands over their thing and pick them like this, walking around knocking people on their butts? It's because everybody's got a different philosophy. They do not have 1 million superstars every year, and so they get the most out of their players. And I think that's one thing Judd has done here. He's taken our best players, and we found ways to get them the ball no matter what and how. Usually, we try to have, more perimeter players, it seems, than inside players, but our perimeter players, for the most part, have been great shooters. We've had Daryl Johnson from Flint Central, where Stan's at, who was one of our highlight players since I've been here. Of course, Skiles and Steve Smith. Now this year, Sean Respert, who actually was our go-to guy last year a little bit, yet maybe he wasn't ready to handle it all. And when we went to him, sometimes at the end of the games, he didn't come through as often as maybe we'd like, and yet this year I think you're going to see a different Sean. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit, and it starts out, if you think it's fun coaching in a big-time program, or if you think it's fun coaching with Judd, who has 2,816 plays, this is what it's like for Brian Gregory and I as we get ready for a game. We usually sit there and we get our cards together. So these are all the cards that Roy Johnson, I don't know if Roy's in the audience, but those are our plays, and we sit all cards together. And Judd wonders why when he calls out a play, it takes us a few seconds to find which one he wants. Well, those are our plays, and let me tell you, it's a nightmare sometimes. clear series has been very good to us over the years. It's just a box set. It's just a box set. It starts out that way. And the first one we just call clear. All we do is rotate each player out of there. Point guard on a two-man game goes one-on-one, or goes off the screen right there and tries to take it to the basket and get a layup. Or screen and roll, get the screen and roll man. This goes off, it's a simple screen and roll. The second one we call clear double. What we're going to do is Sean Resford, our guard underneath the basket, is going to take this man in. We post the guy. Same action. We go off with the screen. We double down. And again, the important thing is to set a good screen here. Sean takes the man in and comes off. That we call clear double. Here it is in a game situation to show it works. The interesting for me in making this little highlight film was looking at all the plays and realizing, Jed always talked to our kids about game slippage. And as you watch, you'll see the good and bad of game slippage. A lot of things that happen where it's not run exactly right. Sometimes you get away with it, sometimes you don't. All right, we're going off right here. The first key that we kind of mess up on, we hope to go shoulder to shoulder off that screen, making this guy right here do something. In this case, we do a decent job. We free ourselves. As the two pickers are going down, like I said, we want Steve Smith to take his man in, come off right there. He does. We get a good pick, open shot, he nails it. It's a different version. Comes off, goes a little early, as you can see, and now he's coming out for a three-pointer. And we will adjust it whether we want a 3 or a 2. Okay, next play we run, what we do with our plays, and over the years, I think, since I've been here, we've made adjustments. And again, if you've ever listened to Jed talk about his matchup, adjustments is a key word in our program. We make adjustments. If somebody's going to take something away, scouting has become so good. We have so many game films on everybody we play that they take things away. So we have put in kind of different versions of each play to counteract what they're going to do. This one we call clear 2. They're used to Resford down low, coming up, coming up, coming up. This time we run it, screen down, and we bring them off the weak side. Because what normally happens is, as he comes up, the defense comes up, and now he goes back door, and he's going to be open there for a shot. Okay, we call that clear double 2. It's all part of our 6-play clear series that we run. Okay, comes up, fake, everything's the same. He's actually coming up a little early here. Everything's the same. Now we get a, instead of posting on the strong side, we get a pick, and he can go either way. Because of Sean's ability, one of the things Jed talked about this year was maybe giving him the option, not even calling it, just giving him the option more now that he's gotten better and better. Here's how it looks in the game. Sean comes up, right here. He's coming this way. Should be coming off the pick. Right there. Good shot. Score. Okay, next one we're going to run. We usually run it. Another nice deal about our plays, we try to get something inside out. This we run the clear Wisconsin, we call it. As somebody said yesterday, I think it was Kelvin Sampson, every coach taught me something to somebody. We had trouble defending this play against Wisconsin, so we used it as an option for our clear series. We just screen across here now. So the first option is in here. That's the first option. Boom, right there. At the same time, we still double down with these two guys. The second option is Sean coming off. First option there, second option there. All right, Call that clear, Wisconsin.
Run that one more time.
Run it one more time, okay. I'll tell you what, I won't run it home. Oh yeah, you will, because we don't have a game part of that. Game is set. What I think is nice about these plays is as confusing as it looked with all the plays we had in the locker room there. Really the plays, you know, there's about 4 different sets we run out of, and they're pretty basic. Screens across, comes, same timing, screening down. What this does, another good situation with this, a lot of times we have a problem with our guard down low. This guy here comes up too quick before the pick can be set. This makes him take his time by setting the screen. Now we got a better chance with a pick right here.
I'm going to motion after that. Stop.
Usually after a play we do go into motion. I think, like the pro game, I really believe this year plays for us are going to be more important because I think, like the pro game, going from the 45 to the 35-second clock. You know, Pete Carrill spoke here from Princeton. We played them a couple times. That system can drive you nuts. Pass, pass, pass. Indiana's done that in the past. They don't do it as much anymore. But now with the 35-second shot clock, I think you're going to see less of that. It's going to be more like the pro game. So plays, I think, especially quick hitting plays, are going to be even more important. All right, this one now, again, we run this at the end of the game a couple times. It's a way of getting into both an inside-outside. We call it clear double up screen. Everything's out of the, again, the 6 plays are out of the clear set. Rustford now is going to screen up. So the first option would be Peg Miller right here. That's the first option. Okay? That's not there. At the same time, our other high post man screens for Sean. That screen-to-screener action, which to me is one of the best picks in basketball. When you're screening for a guy who's just screened, he comes off here for the shot. All right, and the last one in our series that we put in, again, just because teams put things away. I guess we'll run this one more time and hit big. That's all it looks. You can hit either guy. The last one we put in, we call it clear corner. And the reason we put this in is we started having a lot of problems with people who screen down, and with teams that do. Michigan did this to a lot. They were real big. They put a guy like Cartley or something right here. Right here. And then when our guard came up, they sneak him out and just help out, almost double team until the defensive player right here got back to his man. Well, what that did, we put in a play now, so that pig goes down, opens up, we clear this guy to the corner, and now this pass is wide open. Screen, roll back. If they're helping, if they're cheating, we covered it both ways. All right. That, for the most part, is our clear series, and most of them I've got more game film than that, but does anybody have any question on the clear series? I think that for high school ball is important because, again, what you can do in this offense, and again, I think it's a big plus for us because of the way we have our players, but what you can do is you can hide people. If you don't have a center, you can make a guy a professional screener. If you don't have a great shooting point guard, you can make a guy a professional passer. Now, the greatest thing is to have a North Carolina setup where you got 6 guys averaging 12 points or more. That's great, but it's almost not real for 90% of us. Now, when I first came here, we were picked 8th in the country. We had what I thought was a real good team, and Kevin Willis, Sam Vincent, Scott Skiles. It was Darrell Johnson's freshman year, and I remember we played Iowa in a first Big Ten game. It was on national TV. Myself, I'm from the UP, as most of you know. I came down, and there were more people in the arena than in my hometown. And I sat there in the tunnel before the game. The place was going wild. We go out, win the game by 1 point, I think, on a bucket by Darryl Johnson at the end, and went on to lose 8 straight games. And so I got a quick indoctrination of 2 things: what Big Ten basketball like, and what Judd's like during a losing season. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't enjoy either one, but one story I remember was I was out recruiting, and we went down to Ohio State to play. And they had a pretty good team. And I was sitting there before the game. I had just flown in. The team had been there. I got in a little late. I walked around the arena. There's a picture of John Havlicek up there. There's the Heisman Trophy of Archie Griffin. Pictures of Jack Nicklaus. And I realized that I'm in the big time, and all these famous people. I go walking down to the bench, and I sit down. And if you've ever been to St. John's Arena, it kind of goes up forever. Doug, did you play there? Or was that before your time? You were there. It goes up forever, and I sat down and I said to Judd and Mike Dean, I said, holy God, this is unbelievable. You know, I was in awe of the place. And Judd probably took that as something neat. I said, I can't believe how lucky these guys are. You know, how could you play hard if you got to play in a place like this? We walked into the locker room, and Judd says, the clear blue, he's giving his speech, and 99% of the time, he does all the talking in our pregame. And he looked over at me and he said, Tom has something to say to you guys. You know, this was my big chance for a New Rockney type speech. And so I gave the New Rockney type speech. We were down 24 the first half. We lost by 38. Judd told me that if I ever gave a pregame speech again, I'm fired. So that was my indoctrination into the big time. And another quick story on that was we went to Alaska. We won the Alaskan shootout. And Judd's either teasing me about my size, or my heritage, or where I'm from in the UP all the time. And we go to the Alaskan shootout, we win the tournament. Kind of an upset. We win the tournament. We go back to the hotel room. We had some people that came up. Coach says, hey, Tom, why don't we have a little party in my room? We'll watch the game was on again on ESPN. We'll watch the game. That'd be great. I says, yeah, Coach. He says, Jimmy, why don't you run to the store and get some beer and chips and pizza and pop and stuff like that. We'll have a little party in the room. It'd be great. So I says, yeah, Jimmy, I better go with you. I'm a UP guy, and it's snowing out to beat the band. We're in Alaska. I can handle it. Great. Jimmy and I take off, drive down the road. Jimmy says, there's the store. I turn real quick. Guy comes by and sideswipes me. We go skidding in the snow. To this day, I want you to know that every time it snows in Lansing, Michigan, Judd lets me know about my experience in Alaska. And lets me know that really I am a shitty driver. So, there's a lot of great moments with Judd, and I only wish most of you could get a chance to know him a little better like I did. All right. Moving on. The next part, we call it our strength series. And we use this a lot against pressure. We use this a lot for end-of-game shots. We won some big games with this at the end. It seems like the better players you have at certain positions, the better it works. But this is just a basic, we call this set the fifth set. And all it is guys, our big guys are at the elbows. Okay, big guys are over here at the elbows. Guards are in here. And the guards can do one of two things. They can either step into the lane and pop out off those screens, or they can do what we call, they can X. They can cross in here, going either way they want, off these screens that come down. It's just a way of spreading the court. We also think this way is going to be more effective for us this year because there's no 5-second count. The problem we have is sometimes if he's closely guarded here, it's hard to get rid of the ball. All right, we're going to come down, we're going to set a double screen on each side. Guys are coming off, we're rolling. At the same time, whenever we run this play, we're looking for option 1 is a shot, option 2 is the dump, option 3 is high to low action, which we do in a lot of our motion game. He just screens away, we try to go high to low. Okay? There's talk to you about game slippage. All right? In this case, again, I think it was Kelvin, or it might have been someone else yesterday, talked about, you got big guys, and we have Mike Kudlowski right here. You got big guys, you like to have them set screens in the paint or as close to the paint as you can, because not only is the guy going to get open in a better shooting area, but also if they dump it, he's in an area where he can score. This particular time, Steve Smith does not set his man up quite good enough, leaves a little early. Maybe we were looking for a 3 here, or better yet, maybe Steve was looking for a 3 here, and gets a shot in the corner off our fifth play. We can go to either side. Here it is again, and we found this happen to us a lot. If you look at Mike, there's somebody over here screening in. When they screen, what happens is Dwayne Stevens is coming right here to screen. Get a pretty good setup. This guy here is going to cheat out and try to take it away. When he does, we just roll him right to the basket and miss the layup. That accounted for one of Judd's 2,900 Judd thuds. That was one of them right there. But it is a very effective play because it has different options. You can hit a guy for a shot, you can hit a guy inside, and they got a pretty good picking angle by coming down on this kind of angle, which I think is one of the best picking angles you can have. How can you miss that? That's a good question. All right, now the same type of set, we run this on totally on the baseline. Okay, everything's on the baseline here. It's the same action. As you can see here, we X our guards this time. Won a big game in Cincinnati a couple years ago, just for this simple play. And we run this play as an offense. You know, to get it inside, to get it outside. Here it is again in the game. Stevens this time here gets a better pick. Steve Smith flares out. And as everybody does, if they go over the top, we tell our guy to fade. If they go behind with us, if the defense, which is right here, goes over the top, Steve should fade, which he does. If he goes behind, Steve should curl. In this case, it's over the top. That's a bucket. Okay, here again, same thing out of a same set. We screen in. Zuloff here pops out. Right here. And now both guys go with the pop-out man. Steve Smith makes that little pass. Get a bucket inside. Alright, now the third option of this helps if you got a great point guard. We got a lot of mileage out of this. This is in the NCAA tournament against Georgia Tech. Is to have, with all the action, there's a lot of action going on. Everybody's screening for somebody else. It's hard to get a lot of help. The offense has been most effective against teams like Purdue and Indiana, who do a great job of help defense, because it doesn't leave a lot of areas to help. Here, Steve Smith just takes it all the way himself, because everybody's kind of occupied. You can see 44 here, thinking about helping on the pick, and he makes a hell of a shot. All right, that was our kind of more of our spread series where we either run a one-corner baseline or we run the 1-2-2 with the wings out. We run, like I said, that a lot at the end of the games. We run that a lot when we need a bucket, either inside or outside, because like I said, it's got both options. Now I've got about 6-7 plays, guys, that we go to. This is our double stack series. Everything's out of a double stack. I think we started running this back in the Styles era. We didn't have a center, really. We had no center, so we had to use them more as a screener, keep them close to the basket. And so we run this out of a double stack. Our guards are down low. Our two centers, our center and power forward, are up high. We just started off by dribbling at them. We call this special. First option is a shot, of course. Second option is these two guys. Screen across, big guy sets up, comes off. Okay? That we call special. I'll run through these real quick. Next one we call corner. Another part of the game that's maybe more pro-oriented, but it's become a lost art with everybody talking passing game, passing game, passing game. is the oldest play in the world in just a simple screen and roll. I think, even though Judge Izzo is my heritage, he puts it this place so it reminds him back in his day when they used to have the old feast basket. Screen and roll. Call it corner. It's a two-man game. And as Coach explains in camp, the other nice part about this play, you can set this up so your two best players are involved. You can put a guard to guard here. These could both be guards if need be. We have it now, big man to guard, sets it, comes off. We really work hard on our guys getting the ball off in front of them. Put the ball off in front of you, come off the screen at least 2 dribbles. We never let our guys take 1 dribble. It's easy to check. At the same time, Miller opens up, actually to the basket. Now our 2 options are screen and roll. On the weak side, we kind of double screen it over here. Boy, John Madden, that guy's a hell of a guy to be able to do this every day and keep it straight. Screen, roll, got either option. Next one we go to, I got a little plan this to show you. We call it 45 because it's the same play, but it's on an angle. Just gives you more court to work with because the man here can go either way. You go this way, you go this way once the screen is set. 45. Do that in the game now. Steve Smith and Ken Redfield sets the pick. You can go either way. Again, there's just enough commotion down here with this double pick and the guy going behind that they have to respect that. When they do, he does a great job. They get the cutaway man. Score. This is one of my favorite plays. He gets the post involved. Get a post and post roll back. All we do here is dribble in because we have a lot of trouble sometimes just making an entry pass. So this offense, if you're getting pressured a lot, this play works if you just dribble in. You don't have to make an entry pass. Again, on a double stack, you just rotate him up, screen him across, set him up, and now we isolate him down low without much help. Isolated down low. Anytime we screen for a big man now, or just about every time, we roll him back high and try to get some high to low action. And from this side, here it is now. The difference is here, where before we sent pivot across, we sent our man across. This guy went low, this guy rolled high. That is our regular post. Now we call this post rollback. If they've been switching on us, we'll send them across, set the screen, we'll send him high, and just roll him right back to the bucket. You see how nice this works in the game. Roll him right back. And again, it's one of those variations we added. Okay, here's Miller down here. Watch him go set the screen and roll right back. Sets it, rolls back, gets it, dumps it. I think that's about as simple of a play as you can get. And yet I think it's hard to defend. And what we found, again, is when they're switching, sometimes it works. What you find is even if Miller's here, if he's not open, say front him. If they front him, the minute you hit there, now he's got him sealed off. The pass was there to there, and in pretty good shape. Okay, that's our post roll back. Any questions on those 4? Another thing by watching these plays that I think is another important part of the game that I've learned here at Michigan State, I've learned with Judd, is we do an unbelievable, I think we do as good a job as anybody in the country, to be honest with you, of scouting opponents. And I think it's a big part of the game that I see a lot of guys scout a lot of games. I see a lot of guys with the John Wooden theory that my team is good enough that I'm just going to beat you my way. Again, I go back to North Carolina. How many of us have John Wooden type teams that can just go out and out-talent everybody? I think that that scouting is important. We use this film a lot to break down opponents. And what we do, when we break down our personnel, we not only go to plays, but we do an awful lot with individuals. All right? You can't believe, if you're watching up game film, and I've been kind of brought up in the football world where I'm a kind of a filmaholic. I like to watch a lot of film. You can't believe how many times you can pick up tendencies. And on our scouting reports that we put together, we have a tendency chart. And with those tendencies, it's amazing how many guys can't go left at the college level. So I can imagine at the high school level, if you spend some time watching an opponent, deciding whether you go left or right. I did an interesting thing the other day. I was looking at it's called Final 3. It's a computerized stat program. And in there they do a shot chart. And they had Michael Jordan's shot chart. And in that shot chart they had 5 games. And it was just unbelievable that he took every time he drove, he was in this area, and most of his jump shots were in this area. And the tendencies were almost ridiculous. And he's, as great a player as there is in the world or of all time, and yet he has tremendous tendencies. When you go through a year like we did last year, and you lose, you think in basketball how many games you win or lose by 2 or 3 points. Sometimes if you can stop 1 or 2 plays or 1 or 2 tendencies, you can win a game. And I'll be honest with you, some of the success we had, like back in the Jobert years at Michigan, he was a guy that I can remember specifically had tremendous tendencies of only being able to go one way or the other, and I think we really exploited that. So, along with the plays, I think scouting is a major part of basketball, and one that some people take lightly. In all honesty, we probably take too strongly with the amount of time we spend on it. All right, a couple other plays that we run that we've been famous for. This one is isolation. And again, this is an end of the game play. Why? Because for the most part, we've had 1 or 2 superstars in each game, or each team. We want him to have the ball at the end of the game. When he's got his hands on the ball, if it's got to be to get a pass, in other words, coming off the screen, the problem is the defense can take that away. So we like to get the ball in his hands and let him make something happen. And we don't just do it by accident either, we work on it a lot. Here's Sean Rushford, we just clear a side for him. He's going to go one-on-one and make something happen. Hopefully get the last shot or put somebody in a position where he's going to get a last shot that's a very easy shot. Okay? So in the game now, he doesn't get the shot, but he puts himself in a position where somebody gets a great shot. Isolation, we clear everybody out of that side over here. Just let him go. One-on-one. Get in there, make something happen, gets people in the air. Drops it off to Miller for a dunk. We spend, I can't tell you how much time on this part of the game right here, we call the step through or the crossover, the fakes, especially with our guards. Scott Style was great at it, something Jed really works on with our guys. We do a lot of breakdown drills on it. And in this particular offense, it's useful. I'm sure every one of you have a player that can make something happen. All right, the next series, it's out of the same set. We run the UCLA play a lot. Sometimes for a jump shot, sometimes to dump it in. Again, it's out of the same set, so don't get overly confused. After this set, there's only a couple other we run. And why we run out of a couple different sets? I'd like to go over that real quick. It's amazing, because all these plays, we can run them out of a 2-3 set, we can run them out of a double stack, which is a 1-guard front, 2-3 sets, a 2-guard front. It's amazing how the same play, just in a different set, gives such a different meaning and maybe screws up the defense. You get something in a 2-3, the same play, and now you got everybody away from the basket. starts out, everybody knows the UCLA play. Pass, cut through, the first option, of course, is right here for a layup. When the ball's reversed to the high post, our wing breaks out, our center seals off. Our second option is to try to get the ball into the post. Like that. Again, what I like about the plays that probably will drive you guys nuts while you're watching, and that's why I didn't want to diagram them on this board, is we have so many options to each play because we try to almost come up with an option for everything they take away. All right, now they've taken away the post by maybe sagging in right here with this guy. The pass is open here, yet he's not our best shooter. In fact, he's one of our worst shooters. So now we double down here and try to bring our best shooter. So we call that U and then U double. And we will call each play. You think your players should pick it up. Not very often do they, so we kind of try to designate it instead of leaving it in their hands. All right, here's a sloppy way of getting into it. We get into it a little slow. Ball's reversed. Rotate it, and here comes Sean off of a weak double pick right here. But even though it's slow, the play works. Double screens in our league are something that we all put up with. There's a lot of double picking in our league. Okay, now, since I've been here in 10 years, we probably run this play as much or more than any play we run. We just call it S. It's a basic play with 3 options. The hand back. First option is the dunk. Get the ball inside. The reason it's a good play to get the ball inside, as you can see, there's nobody in this area. This area is completely open down here. So the dunk is the first option. It's wide open. The second option is for our guard here is Westford to come off, screen and roll play, 2-man game. Okay? Right here, he's going to screen and roll. Taking at least 2 dribbles, looking for a shot first. Cutaway man second. Okay? Here he takes the shot. Now the other options we have is not only the cutaway man, he can keep going. And then this guy is what we call our hider. He comes. I'll show you that in the game. Alright? S, remember this again. First option is the dunk. Second option, coming off hard. Third option is the dunk to Miller, getting the cutaway. And fourth option is a man who is here, comes off. And believe it or not, this is open a lot because everybody's looking to help in the paint. We've got this guy coming off. Pass goes right there, which you'll see on the next play. You know, that's the basic play. I went over it kind of quick. There's 3 options on it. Anybody have any questions on those options? All right, now, just when we figure we're running the game, dunk's not open, screen is set, he comes off. Our hider actually goes too low down here. He should be coming up a little bit. That way this guy here would be wide open. Remember, just takes it in. And again with Steve Smith. He comes off. Now we hit what we call our hider. Just on a handoff, and we get into our famous sweep. It's one play with a lot of options. What we found happening when we made the handoff, all right, this guy comes off and down the lane. This guy comes over, you'll see here. This is one of my favorite plays. We have this guy come down the lane, and When we used to screen and roll, now we keep this guy here, we screen, and we double pick here. Instead of making this guy the hider out here, we single pick here, and we give this guy the option of going this way or back out this way. So it's kind of a mess now, but you can see it, he comes out this way. Goes right down the middle, and he's got an option to go either way. I think it's a great play for a shooter. This time he comes off the double side. Great play. Let's see it on the game. Smith gets tangled up, down. He's right here now. He can go here. He can go here. Get a good pick. Leave him. All right. See again now. On a lot of these down screens, see how open Stigington is right here. You kind of ask for the ball instead of standing there. Kind of puts his hand up, but wide open. Here's to play a little better run where he comes off the double. So kind of sloppily run here because he's getting checked. Comes down the middle. He's got the pick on this side. Got the double pick on that side. So, time circles it. Wide open. This time he does it. Wide open. Okay. This play we call it S3. I didn't put it on. All we're doing here is it's another clear out. We have so much trouble sometimes getting the ball back to our guard. In the games, like I said, we want our best player to have his hands on the ball. In this case, it was Steve Smith up in this game against Minnesota. Down to the wire game. Our best player we know is taking the shot. Okay, the next set I'm going to go to, I got two more sets and then I'm going to go to something else, is a 2-3 set. We just got 2 plays in each set. The 2-3 set, we run a lot against pressure. We run this almost exclusively against Purdue over the years. They put a lot of pressure on defensively. Like Kelvin Sampson said about the 1-4, they take a lot of players away from the basket. Okay? So now there's nobody in the basket. Backdoor plays work better. 2-3, bring our guards in. You can crisscross them, grab somebody, bring them out. Very simple play. You got a high post guy who's not a great postman, but he's a good passer. This works real well. Here it is in the game. 2-3 set, brings them in, sets the screen, and now we dump it in. Very simple, very basic. You can get the inside or out. Same thing. Now this time we X our guards. As you can see here, they X. That's first wide open for the shot. 2-3. All right. High post down is a way just to get the ball to the high post. High post down was the last one. Just a way to get the ball to the high post. Isolated with nobody else on. All right, this is a play that we've also run a million times over the years. You've probably seen with the board. It's called X, and that's all it is, just like it says. We just pass the wing, we X our people, rotate it, get 2 options. Back pick for a layup, double pick for a jump shot. Again, the 2 options that we like to get most of the time. An inside play and a perimeter play at the same time. Here is the game. Kind of get into it weird here because Smith gets held. Reverse it. Take it in from the top. Single, double. Done. Here's one a little better here. Extra guys. The first option we're actually looking for is this guy right here. It could be open. If not, we'll reverse it quick. Get a good back pick. Try to get the ball right there. All right, one more series I want to show you. It's our lob plays. We have probably as many lob plays as we do regular plays, even though I'm only going to show you 3 of them. At the end of every timeout, I think another thing Jeff's been famous for is we do a great job coming out of a huddle and having a play that we score on. I think it was Doug Herner and Phil Odlove, a lot of times sitting on our bench, sometimes tell me that our execution and our rate of scoring after a timeout is fantastic, and it's usually because we go to a set play, and a lot of times it's a lob play. The first one we run is called 5-man lob, and it can be run for a dunk, but it can be run for a layup. Start out with the screen down. The guy, our best jumper is right here. He comes out, gets the ball. Our point guard kind of replaces himself. Same time, we get a screen down on the other side. For our best passer, when the ball's reversed, we up screen here, and he goes for the dunk. Just in the game, and if I want to walk through it, I can. Stadinger gets the ball, reverses it, we get a screen down by Keplowski. He screens down and kind of posts or kind of gets out of the way. Stevens comes out. Back pick on the far side. Wide open lob. Same thing here. Back pick, wide open lob. And we run that a lot. We usually don't. This one we call it 50. It's out of a 2-guard set. Again, switching the set for our guard. You just get a little back pick right here and run them off. The next one we call 30. On our 30 play, again, it's a 2-guard set. We hit here. This guy posts hard. This guy asks for the ball. When you're the passer, you're looking right here. Like you're going to give him the pass. Guard here steps up, comes right off there for the lob. The last one, we had a lot of problems. This is the last play I got here. There's a million of them. But we have a lot of problems on our U play as far as once we go down, we run the U. All right, now we reverse it. We've always been doubling down with these 2 guys for him. This time, we're going to screen up for him. The defense is usually playing here, ready to help on the down screen. See what happens. Up. We call this U lob. And this really works well in this case. Reverse it. Over here. Move up. All right, the final thing I want to go over as far as on the film, none of those work. And you really need something that is going to get you a bucket like we did in this game when we're down 1. I put in this little out of bounds play that we use. We've used it a couple times. Jet's running from here. He's running from here. He's running from down there. But we use this if we're ball in against pressure. In this game, it just happened that we did it and scored a big bucket on it. These three guys are going to all go different ways to the ball. Where we really want to get the ball is right here. It's usually our center coming up because nobody usually fronts the center. Alright, so we're going to get him the ball and we're just going to streak. Almost like the pro play, where you see the pros a lot, I think in their games, you know, when they're here, they make an inbounds pass, guy steps in and right back to the passer. This is similar, where we just get a handoff or get a quick flip back. You'll see in the Illinois game, tied 75-75. We ran it, hit it, 3 seconds left, and scored a winning bucket. So if none of those plays work, which sometimes they don't, you'll have a chance to get a score that way. I gave you a lot of plays, guys, and it's because it was the area I was supposed to talk on was plays. I hope you kind of found your way through them, because there are a million of them that we run, and believe me, I just showed you a few of a lot. But I wanted to say to you, I wanted to talk to you just for 5 more minutes on maybe an area that would be the best area for most of you, and that's what it takes to get to be a head coach, a Division I assistant. You know, when I came down here, I've got a lot of decent words that would sum it up. Every job I've interviewed for, you know, Judd took a chance on me. When I went to Tulsa, the guy took a chance on me. When I was at Northern Michigan, they took a chance on me because I had no more answers than any of you do, and I'm no different than any of you are. That's one of the things I really enjoy. I didn't play in a big-time program. I was not a big-time player. I thought the best gift I had to give anybody was that I would work. I would do anything anybody asked me. I think if there's one thing Judd would say about me, it's that I will work, and I think it's got me a lot. I think there's sacrifices you make. Again, I heard Don Meyer talk the other night about sacrificing, and he made a good point. He said, sometimes we forget, you know, that our kids are just as human as we are. And I'm always talking about our kids sacrificing. They don't work hard enough. They don't run enough. They don't spend enough time shooting. And then I look in the mirror and wonder how much time we spend. You know, maybe I should have been out running Big Miller more so he'd lose the weight faster. Maybe we should have spent a little more time on that play. So I think sacrifice is a big part of getting where you want to get. In this day of instant gratification, nobody wants to sacrifice anymore. When I came here, Judd almost a lot of times teases me about it. The job paid $7,000 a year, and I worked that way for 3 years. And I probably would have worked that way another year, except he kind of kicked me out and told me that, hey, be a good move professionally, go to Tulsa. It just worked out when I went. Mike Dean took the job at Siena 2 months later, and Judd was great enough to hire me back. And I think if you ask him why he hired me back, it sure as hell because I was the greatest recruiter in the world, and it sure as hell wasn't because I was the best basketball coach. I think he was looking for somebody maybe like himself in one way that would just work, and he'd teach me the rest, and that's what I've done, and that's what he's taught me. The greatest thing that probably happened to me since I've been here is to get the opportunity to be around a guy like Magic Johnson. Do I know Magic Johnson? No. I mean, I think you barely remember my name. You remember my face from opening up the arena and stuff, but when you see a guy that works that hard, that is that good, it just gives you such an appreciation for everything else. It just makes you realize what maybe most of us don't do. And you know, and Judd's the other thing. Judd's never asked me to do anything that he wouldn't do himself. And you get a lot of head coaches that I say big-time people. Judd's never big-time a person in his life, and I hope that I take that with me as I start my new and exciting time. And I'm not sure when that'll be. You know, Judd claims that it's going to be in the year 2001. When he introduces me, it's Tom Izzo, the next head coach at Michigan State, year 2001. So he might be around for a while. Bobby Knight said at a speaking engagement here last year that if Tom Izzo was smart, he'd look for another job because Judd's never going to retire. Well, in all honesty, that's fine with me right now because I don't need the head job to be a head coach. I love my job. I love where I work. To me, I get to do something that few of us get to do. I'm living a dream. I'm living a dream, and it's the biggest dream that I think any of us could live if that's what you want out of life. You know, where the sacrifice is worth it. I sometimes look at my friends. I got married a year ago, and I was 36 years old when I got married. And why did I wait so long? The reason is I couldn't find a wife that would marry me for $7,000 a year that I was making, so I had to, I sacrificed that. But in all honesty, some of the things I gave up, I look back on now, where my friends all got kids in high school playing basketball, things like that. I'm just kind of starting to work on my kids, they're still in the practice stage, so not that that's all that bad, but I mean, they're not here yet. And it's sacrificing something. It's something that I've kind of given up. And once in a while I look back and I say, was it worth it? And I walk into our arena that sometimes I take for granted, and I look around and I just can't believe where I'm at. And I say to all of you, don't give up hope. I mean, since I've been here, Judd alone at Michigan State has hired 4 or 5 high school coaches. Probably because he was one for 14 years and knows what it's like. I mean, I'm at the age now, I think Judd just started as an assistant right around the same age I'm at. And so you never know what it's going to lead to. You never know if it's going to work out. But sometimes being at the right place at the right time and being around people that are loyal, which in this day and age there are none, or there aren't many, has really done a lot for me and my career. And for that, I'll just say that I saw him walk in before, and I'd like you to maybe give a warm welcome to my mentor, my head coach, and a guy that you talk about as a coach's coach. Judd, could you at least stand up and take a little round of applause? Appreciate what it's like to work for somebody, and he is demanding, but he never asks more of you than he asks of himself. That's about all you can ask from anybody. And I try to use that with our players. I try not to ask more of our players than I ask of myself, and I think it works out pretty good. In closing, guys, I'd like to tell you that, hey, it was a little different for me. I mean, this is, I'm just starting in this mad world of hired to be fired profession that I chose. And this clinic is probably, everybody I talk to, one of the best clinics in America. And I do have a unique part in the clinic. And that's the 10 years I've been here, and Ed Dutcher, maybe you can let me know. I don't know of anybody else that has been on your work committee and also your speaking committee. So maybe that's my claim to fame. But coming out here and working with these guys is a lot of fun, and I hope that you all appreciate what they've done, because they don't make any money doing it, and it's a hell of a clinic, and the hours they put in, even though they drink a few beers while they're doing it, are a lot of hours. And for the staff, and Ed Dutcher, who kind of heads the thing, and Phil, and Doug, and the rest of the guys, they do an unbelievable job. And Ernie Kushner and Donis Butcher have, with Converse, have done a great job putting this together. And I think, like I said, it's one of the class programs in the country. So when you see these guys, do like Don Meyer says, take a second to thank them, because they're special people to me, and they've been very special to the high school coaches in this area. I hope you all have a great year, and remember, you've got 1, 2, 3 years left to catch my legend boss. So whatever it is, if you ever want to come up to a practice, he always opens them up to the coaches. It's too bad that this one fell the way it did, because we would have invited everybody over, but we didn't find out until a week and a half ago that it was going to we were allowed to start practice earlier, so our gym was being used, so we couldn't do it this year. And as I leave you, I'd just like to tell you, dreams do come true because you're looking at somebody who's living his. So good luck.